the effervescent sounds of Sync 24, their tune White Pixels. And with me on the line is Cynthia Connop of Living Love. How are you, Cynthia?
Hey, hi, Frederick. Yeah,
Hey,
really good. Thank you.
that's great. So, as a bit of an introduction, I went to your what would I call it?
Taster, intro night.
The intro night on last Thursday, which I have to admit was very, very interesting. And yes, I have decided to go to your 2-day workshop, which I would normally never do for many people. So,
Yay! That's wonderful.
so tell me a story. Where did Living Love come from, and what's the concept behind it?
Well, the inspiration for Living Love comes from an author and teacher called David Data. And he's a radical and interesting person who studied for many years. And I had the good fortune to work and study with him probably about 15 years ago, over a number of years. And I was just intensely excited by this work. I just found it deeply transformational to connect with my feminine essence and to understand and grow and understand also the masculine and appreciate the masculine essence and work out and feel how that interplay happens in the world, in relationship and in the world. So that just has led me over the years to start teaching this work, first of all with women and now with men and women. And I have a wonderful co-facilitator who's a men's coach, Ernst, and we run the mixed weekends together.
Right, okay. So, do you feel that we have lost our identity being innately instinctive with being masculine and feminine that's brought this about? Or what's going on that
Yeah, I
demands we go to
do.
these things?
I do, Frederick, because what's happened is, in yesteryear, like in the olden days, or whatever we want to call it, like the roles of men and women were much more defined, and that they weren't defined in a healthy way, like it was really limiting for women and men. And so we had women's lib, and we had a liberation out of those roles and that oppression, and we've all become equal. And look, it's still not totally equal, but I'm talking about in the West. This isn't happening necessarily in other places, but we're living in this fairly neutralized culture where we celebrate being equal. And that's a really good thing, but we've kind of thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and we've lost that sense of the essential difference of masculine and feminine, and how do we give those gifts to each other, not in a liberated way, as an evolution. So some people think this work is about going back to kind of old-fashioned gender stereotypes, and it's not at all. It's about evolving into the modern art of love and tantra and masculine and feminine essence. And when you get a deeper understanding of that, it's like you can communicate quite differently with men or women. You just know yourself more in that place.
And that's
So I think we have lost a lot. Like I work with a lot of women who are running a lot of masculine energy in their lives and are feeling very depleted and very lost. And also with men who kind of doubt their intrinsic sense of masculinity and purpose and direction because the culture doesn't, honor it.
and I guess that's part of the problem is, as you've just said, the culture is the dilemma where we're answering to something outside of ourselves as opposed to what we give to culture. And then I think
Yeah,
we'd be
that's
much more
right.
connected.
Yeah, it's like we're really influenced by that, and we'll have a lot of conditioning around that. And so in our work, we're creating a new culture where you can get to feel what's it like to really step into your masculine or feminine essence. And we all have both. So we're not saying, it's a rigid generalization that we're all one or all the other. But most people have a more masculine or a more feminine essence. And there's kind of like a sliding scale there.
Mm.
So, to step into that for yourself and deeply connect with what's already in you, but then to have a group of people and a growing community of people, and we're not the only ones doing this in the world, but, who want to play this way, who want to get to swim in these delicious waters of masculine and feminine.
I don't know any other water that's more delicious, personally. So
So
let's talk
true.
about some of the classes that the exercises rather. So what can people expect in terms of physical things to do when they go? You notice they didn't say
Yeah.
if, right? When they go.
When?
Yeah.
Yes, we have a workshop coming up soon in Sydney. So what can they expect when people come? You can expect to be with a group of people who are going to be a whole range of feelings that they bring into the room. Everyone's usually a bit nervous and anticipatory. And as the weekend goes on, there's practices that involve deeply connecting with the other person, both with your energy and through touch. We have a very safe container of boundaries that we set up for the weekend so that it's a very sacred space. It's a safe space to explore and play. We have lots of really juicy group discussions and people sharing very intimate experiences that they've had, if you want to. It ranges in energy from like very touching, very vulnerable, through to very playful, at times wild, and sometimes just talking things out. Like the women might be just talking to the men and saying, well, what is it like for you when this happens? Or
Wow.
so there's a really profound sharing that happens as well.
I have to admit, on the intro night when Matt was inviting people to talk about why they were there, it was amazing how quiet so many people were, and I was just dying to say something because we're all in the same space. Why not share it and see where it goes? So I'm happy that people do finally get out of that reservation. I don't know how you can explain who you are by holding it back. Anyway, and being so masculine. But what I'm a bit concerned about, because if I'm practicing masculinity in the full way that I would do it, it is really confronting. It is never without energy. Never. And I'm a bit worried that I could be a bit too overbearing. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm only talking about me, because
Yeah.
this is the
Everyone's
type of thing
different.
that comes across when I relate to people normally.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
it's really
Yeah. Well.
intense by default to
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to look forward to seeing some of this intensity on the
Holy
weekend.
shit! Don't do me this.
Look, it's an art, and I find like there's quite a lot of men feel that their masculine energy is too intense, because that's a bit of the message that comes across. But it's also that learning how to cultivate our energies and give them and receive them in a way that works.
Right.
And that's practice and that's learning. So on the weekend, you get a lot of feedback from different women, if you're a man, and vice versa. So after a while, you start to really use that feedback and just understand that it might be just a small thing that you can tweak that's going to make the difference whether you have a great relationship or attract a great relationship or not. There can be, you could just be doing something that's just putting women, in this case, putting
Yeah.
women off. But you're actually, a really good man and you could really serve a woman deeply. So that's the thing that brings me a lot of joy, is to be able to help people with exactly things like that.
Okay.
And everyone's unique. Everyone's going to bring their own, whatever they need and they want to work on or sort out or open to more or cultivate more. Everyone will be unique in that journey.
One of the things that occurred to me again at the end of that intro night, on my trying to understand how confronting I usually am, and a friend of mine who was there that night too, just by chance, said that I was a lot less angry than the last time she had seen me, and if I keep discussing, well, why am I the one that's so confronting? I've thought that maybe in the end what's happening is that I'm equally threatened by approaching women, and I don't know how to resolve the fear of that.
Well, I think you wouldn't be alone in that, would you?
I'm just not sure where it comes from.
Yeah.
whether it's past history or I just don't know. And that everything on since that time has been a bit of a not a cover up, but trying to resolve the that dilemma. And I
Well,
even sorry, go on.
well, one of the things that happens in our work is it's not therapy as such because we're not really going into analysing, where some of these things have come from. We work more on the premise that if you love fully and you give fully in the moment, it undoes the past.
Yeah.
So even though we bring our past to the moment, to love, to interactions with everybody, we're not just talking intimate partner here. It's like we can change that without having to understand everything about why it happened. And having said that, you will insights will pop up really directly. Like you will get what's happening. So that the masculine grows through challenge. So I don't know you well enough yet to know, but just in general, sometimes men are treating women like men and wondering why they're not getting the response they want. Because if you want to open a woman, it's appreciation and praise that does that, because the woman, the feminine, longs to be seen, deeply seen
Yeah.
for who she is. And women do the same. Women can treat men like their girlfriends and wonder why men are running away. Because, we're not each other's business partners. We're not each other's co-parent. At the core, we are lovers. And while we might do all those things together, and it's beautiful to have those ways of meeting, the problem is it can sort of blunt the polarity, the differences, which is what creates the spark and creates that beautiful sense of union where you're meeting in the way that you're saying you want to meet. So, there's a number of things that could be causing that, Frederick. But what I'm really loving is just your honesty and your awareness, because that's like 90% of it, and the rest will fall into place.
Yeah, sure. Last thing I need to be is afraid of discussing it. I mean, the goal is to be free of anything. And I must admit, I really like the approach, because a lot of people would usually delve into the past and look at an analytical way of resolving that. And I think that would bring up a lot more problems rather than resolving it silently in yourself and be encouraged from present moment to look towards the future.
Yeah, look, there's a place for doing some therapeutic work for sure. Like sometimes some things need that sort of work. That's not so much our domain, although in my individual work I do some of that. But we just find this is an amazingly effective way of growing and opening and evolving. And it's very loving. Like we all just press more love into those wounds or those places, and then, hey, out you step and emerge through them, more yourself, more your natural self, as a man, as a woman.
I think one of the biggest dilemmas, ultimately, I think where you're going is to be comfortable with communicating with your sexuality all the time, and not be afraid of doing that. And not for the context of trying to get people. I mean that you are being yourself when you communicate that way with people all the time, and so expressing love all the time when you talk to people. A lot of people, I think, are threatened by that.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like, you're right in one way. It is about our sexual essence, but it's learning the cultivation or the moderation or how to use that energy for good, for love, for truth. And,
Right.
the masculine essence is very much devoted to mission and purpose, whereas the feminine, the more the devotion is to love. So feeling into how to offer that to the world, is a moment-by-moment art. But first of all, being in touch with yourself and then being aware, of the effect you have on other people. It's exciting. It's an exciting thing to learn. But definitely you'll be more in command of your sexual energy. You wouldn't be leaking it out inappropriately. It would be the opposite after you do this.
Yeah, great. I don't want to fear doing it anymore, because I do. That's, I think, one of the biggest issues. Okay, let's. It's not about me. Right. When is the workshop?
It is March 1 and 2.
Yeah, and
Saturday and Sunday, March the 1st and 2nd.
okay, and where is it? In Greenwich somewhere?
Yes, it's in a beautiful, beautiful hall in Greenwich that we have, a lovely venue. We did a workshop there last November, which was amazing and awesome. And it's just a nice secluded venue that we have.
Sounds
and
fantastic.
I think I said before, we have guidelines and boundaries, and there's no nudity, or it's really about learning how to exchange that energy in a very clean way.
Yeah. Yeah, someone did mention the nudity. I was kind of surprised that would even come up, but I'm sure that's the last thing that's necessary when you communicate with people.
It's not part of our weekend workshop, that's for sure.
Sure.
But having said that, there's a place for that at times. But yeah.
Well, of course, but
yeah.
Where the website to find out more information?
The website is livinglove.com.au.
Yeah.
And the workshop is for singles and couples. We have a mix of both. And for men and women, there's places available, and there's a book-in process. So if you go to the website and you click on workshops, you can see there how to book in, or there's also a mobile phone number that people can call if they'd like to register their interest.
Is that the one I've just called you on now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So for everybody, that is 0408 205 671, but it's also on my facebook.com/Timebeats Global. So more info there. And there is an event page. Well, I guess on your Facebook, you have a Facebook for Living Love too, yes?
Yeah, we have Living Love Facebook page. It's a community page if people are looking for it. And if you go to the Facebook page, it has events, and you can see our events there.
Great.
And, sometimes people are ready to book in. They're just like, yep, this is what I need. I want to attract a good partner. I want to make a shift. I want to revitalize my marriage. I want to come more into my feminine or masculine. If you know that's for you, jump in. If you're not sure, you've got a private question, or you're not really quite there yet, feel free to contact us. And I believe next week as well, you're going to be talking to my male counterpart on the show.
Yes, I'm curious to know on the masculine side on how that works as well.
Yes.
No doubt he'll come up with some interesting things to say.
It is fantastic. He works a lot with men and co-facilitates with me in Living Love, so he'll give you some more of the masculine perspective. Yes,
terrific. And anything else to finish off with that I may have missed?
Oh, it's a really awesome experience, and you wouldn't quite think that 2 days could be life-changing, but it is, because it's just gives you a really new way of looking and understanding why your relationships might have succeeded or not, or what's the small things that you can open to that really make a difference. And I love to support people to make a difference in that way, really come home to themselves and know themselves in that, and be really honoured in that. Be really honoured in your
I'm looking forward to it very much. So
can't wait to have you there.
Yes, and I'll report on it after the fact too, because I'm very interested to know the outcomes. So thank you very, very much for being on the program.
Thank you, Frederick. It was my pleasure.
And we'll talk more later, especially probably after the event, and I'll have one of the people who did it on the show. Very curious.
It might be someone listening now.
It could be. Hi, all you Fandango folks. Cool.
And Frederick, thanks for your openness and being willing to reveal yourself. Much appreciated.
That's okay. I just think that's normal under the circumstances.
Right.
Okay, I'll talk to you later on.
Okay. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Ciao. Bye. So that was Cynthia Connop, who runs Living Love. The workshop is on March 1st and 2nd in Greenwich. More details on her Facebook page and livinglove.com.au. You are listening to Timebeats on Bondi Beach Radio. 20 more minutes to go before Deep House Australia gets here, usually on the 2nd at 6. And more tunes to come.